Hi, good morning everybody. It is Friday again already. I don't know where the week goes. 11 o'clock, and therefore it is time for this week's live cooking session. I hope you are all well and you are keeping safe and keeping well in our changing times. Going to be doing something slightly different this week. I'm at the other end of the kitchen, and I'm trying to keep an eye on the Facebook page on the other side as well, in case people are making comments. So cooking on the hob is very different to cooking where I normally do over the other side, so anything could happen. Good morning, Helena. Are you going to cook along this morning? Brilliant. I hope you saw my message I put up just about making sure your vegetables are prepped. So you get your onion cooked and your carrots chopped and things like that, so that you're all ready to bung in the pan as we go. So hopefully this is going to work live over the hob. Normally when I've done lives cooking on the hob, it's been via Zoom, and I've had my phone fall off and cut myself off and all sorts of things. But this morning, after last week's power cuts, everything is calm. I've decided it's all going to work wonderfully well. I hope so anyway. So today we're going to be making a really tasty malabar curry. Hey Fran, well done. Fran has managed to join us. She's come zooming in all the way from New Zealand, which is very exciting. It shows how international this is. Oh, and good morning, Rachel. You've made it as well. Lovely. I do love seeing all these messages popping up. Okay, so like I say, I'm over by the hob. I'm going to be having to move the camera around a little bit. The recipe, I will type up the recipe as well, but you can find it in my book if you have it, which is Eat Well, Live Well with a Sensitive Foodie. I am actually going to be adapting things slightly because of lack of ingredients or slightly different ingredients. And also there's a couple of options later on. So you can either use coconut milk, which is what you would do for normal Malabar curry. It uses coconut milk, or alternatively, if you follow the Overcoming MS program where we can't have coconut, and then we're going to use a cashew cream, and you can add in a little bit of coconut essence if you so desire, just to get that coconutty flavour. Morning, Renee. Suddenly smell curry. Well, good. I haven't actually started yet. Hopefully any of you are cooking along, are ready to go. So I'm just going to get my hob on first. So I prefer cooking on gas, but I have an electric hob, so it takes a little bit more adjustment. So I'm going to move you around and move you down. So there you go. We've got the pan over there, and hopefully we can see what's going on over here, which I can't. Never mind. Okay, so I'm just going to keep on going down like this. I'm here. So I've popped on my hob. Now the first thing we're going to do is actually get the pan warming up and going, because obviously you don't want to be sitting or standing watching things cook, bubbling away and listen to me waffling on for too long. So we're going to hurry this up a little bit. So I'm warming up the pan, and first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in the mustard seeds. So they're going in dry. We're just going to lightly toast them. In the recipe, I also say now is the time to put in your asafoetida if you're using it. You just need a tiny pinch of that. Now, I actually haven't got any of it, so that's not going in. And if you have fresh curry leaves, then add a handful of those in now as well. Now, I only have dried curry leaves, which work just as well, but as you can see, here they are. I'm going to add them in when the sauce is actually going, rather than putting them in now. So we're just going to toast the mustard seeds. Oh, morning, Catherine. Lovely to have you here. Yes, all good. Thank you very much. I hope you're all good as well. Now, somebody did ask if they could use yellow mustard seeds as opposed to black mustard because that's what they had. And yes, you can. It just gives a slightly different flavour, but it's fine if that's what you've got. I think cooking at the moment is very much about using what you've got access to, what's easy for you. So that pan is just beginning to heat up and it's just beginning to steam. So I'm going to just let those cook a tiny bit more. What you want to do with the mustard seeds is you would just want them to pop slightly before you add in other things. Renee's asking, do you get the herbs and spices online or is there a source in Caldas? Caldas is where we are in Portugal. Yes, there's a great spice shop, the Mercaria Zen, near the CCC, or there's another shop near the Market Square as well. And a lot of the supermarkets now have them as well, so it's quite easy to get hold of most of these, but the Zen Mercaria or the Mercaria Zen is a good one. Okay, right, so that's all good now. So what I'm going to do is they're just beginning to move around a little bit. So I'm going to add in a tiny bit of water. So stand back, we're going to steam. So we're frying without oil again. So I'm just going to add that in, let the steam pass. And I'm going to pop in the onion. Now, I know a lot of people struggle with frying without oil, and it's one of those techniques that once you're used to it, hopefully you'll wonder why you ever wanted to cook with oil in the first place, because things cook really well. The natural sugars and everything come out, and so you can still get a little bit of caramelization as you go along. I've just added a little bit of salt just to help bring the water of in the onion out a little bit. So that is going to cook on there. Let's just turn that up a tiny bit, up a little bit. I'm just going to let them cook for a minute, and then I'm going to add in the fresh ginger. Now, if you haven't got any fresh ginger to hand, because it might be that you've not been able to go out shopping and you're relying on spices in your cupboard, then you can use ground ginger. It will give it a very slightly different flavour, but it gives you some still gives you some really good medicinal properties as well, because ginger is fantastic for reducing inflammation, and it's really, really good for your gut health as well. But ground ginger has been found to help reduce pain. And so it can help with headaches and migraines, and it can also help with period pains as well. So it's a useful thing to add in to your food if you like ginger. So I'm going to add in the ginger now. I've got my grated ginger over here. We're just going to pop that in, and I'm going to cook that again. Now, when you are cooking without oil, you do need to just make sure that things don't start sticking to the bottom of your pan. I hope you can all see that all right. Let's move that down a tiny bit. There we go. Right. So now you might be able to, I don't know if you can see that, but I can feel that that's actually just beginning to stick a tiny bit. So what I'm going to do is just add a little bit more water. And that's all you do as you go along. You don't want to add too much so that the onion and ginger braise. You just want to add enough so it doesn't stick too much to the pan. Okay, so that's all doing really well. And so I am now going to add in the tomato. So here I've got 2 tomatoes, which I've popped into the blender, just very quickly whiz them out down into a puree. I'm going to pop that in. Now, if you haven't got fresh tomato or something you can use to whiz it down, then you can use a little bit of tin tomato instead. But fresh tomatoes in this just give it a slightly lighter flavour. And whenever you are using tin tomatoes, you need to get very, very careful on the salt, because they add some extra sodium just because of the way that they've been processed. And because that fluid from the tomato has gone in now, then that's actually deglazed the bottom of the pan, so nothing's going to stick for a minute. So I'm just going to leave that to bubble for a little while. One thing I didn't do is get the lid out, so hold on one second while I rummage in the cupboard underneath and try and find the right lid, there we go. Right, so I'm just going to leave that on and just turn the heat down a tiny bit. I'm just going to let that simmer. Oh, actually, tell you what I forgot to do, is I forgot to put the curry leaves in. So I'm just going to pop a handful of those in. Now, if you've not used curry leaves before, or you don't have them, don't worry. You can leave them out, but I love curry leaves. They give a really subtle, I don't know, something. I discovered them when we were in India, and I always try to get them fresh if I can. But I haven't actually found them fresh out here in Portugal, so I've got my bag of dried curry leaves. And actually the process of drying them, because again they've got some fabulous phytonutrients in them, the process of drying them actually concentrates those, so that's still really good for you. Now, right, I don't know how everybody's doing, whoever's cooking along. Hope it's going okay. I'm just going to make a little bit of space here, because what we're going to do now is going to sort out the spice mix. Now, in the recipe, I will say to do this at the beginning, but again, about cooking, I thought we could do it whilst the onion and everything was cooking. So in the extra spice mix, we're going to use some cardamom. Now, cardamom has got some fantastic properties, including some can help lift your mood and antidepressant stuff. So that's always handy to know that curry can make you feel good. Yay! So I've just got a few cardamom pods here. If you can see those, and I'm just opening them up. If you open them up, you can see inside you've got the seeds. So that's what I want. And I'm just popping them into my pestle and mortar. And in that as well, oh, this one doesn't want to open. That's typical. There we go. And into that, I've got 4 of those. And then I'm going to add in some dried whole cloves. Now, if you've got these ground, then use them ground. What you'll find is that the flavours and the properties are better if you can use them from fresh, and they give a much stronger aromatics, but they do need a good pounding. So you're getting a workout at the same time. And into that, I am going to add some ground cumin. Now, cumin is one of the real key flavours for this curry, and it matches beautifully with the cloves and with the cardamom as well. And both cinnamon and cloves. Cloves is another natural painkiller. Oil of cloves traditionally is used for toothache, but it also has some fabulous anti-inflammatory properties as well, as does most spices. So curry is always a good one to make yourself if you want to reduce some inflammation in your body. But if you go out for a curry, then often there's so many inflammatory oils in it that it doesn't kind of moves away from the anti-inflammatory side of things, although it's always nice to have somebody else cook you a curry. So I'm just going to add in, can you see what I'm doing there? Maybe, maybe not. Let's move you down a bit. I'm going to add in the cinnamon into that one as well. There we go. Okay, so that is all ready to go. So let's see where we're up to. So this tomato mix is supposed to be cooking for about 10 minutes. But like I say, you don't really need to see things cooking for too long. The other thing is because we're not going to eat this for lunch, we're going to eat this later, so the flavours will develop later on as the day goes by, and things will cook down. So I'm actually going to add in the other ingredients now. So into that. Can you see that okay? Yeah, I think so. We're going to add in that spice mix that we've just put together. And I'm also going to add in some turmeric. This is my jar of turmeric, which I suddenly realised this morning is disastrously empty. So we're just going to bung in everything that's in there. Turmeric, another fabulous spice to use for promoting health and inflammation and toxicity. This is some Kashmiri red chili powder. This is my favourite chili powder, and it gives you a lovely colour, a really vibrant red. It can be quite spicy, but it's not quite as acidic. Some chili powders I find are very acidic. I don't know if that's the right word even, but anyway. They're a bit better, whereas the Kashmiri one is beautiful. I fell in love with that when I went to Kashmir, and the reason I said that is because if any of my family are watching this, that will make them laugh, because they reckon I always manage to drop that in the conversation, but it was an amazing place. So we've got those spices in there, and now I'm just going to add the vegetables. So the veggies we've got here, in here I've got some carrot, I've got green beans, and also Steve came back from the shops with some really lovely that tender stemmed broccoli, which I'm going to add in. So the stems are chopped there. I'm going to pop the heat up a little bit there. So I'm going to use peas and the broccoli heads as well, but I'm not going to add those in just yet because we don't want them overcooked. So for now, I'm just going to coat all those veggies with that and spices paste. That just makes sure that everything is going to get all of the flavour and everything on top of that. Wonderful. Okay, we'll pop the heat up on there again. That's going to start simmering, and in some water, but I'm actually just going to get some hot water, so that it comes to the boil quicker. So you want 250 mils of water to go in, which it might not seem much at the minute. So if you can see, if I move you a little bit closer there, that's just about covering the veggies. But we're going to add in either coconut milk or the cashew cream. So you don't want it to be too much, because otherwise there's too much sauce in there. So I'm going to whack that up. The heat's whacked up on that. It's going to come to the boil. Pop a little bit of pepper in there. And I'm just going to add in a tiny little bit more salt. Mix all that in. And then I'm going to cover that with the lid and let that simmer for a little while. All right, let me move you back. You don't want to have to look at me too closely. Okay, so that's going to simmer away now for 10 minutes. But you'll be relieved to know that I won't stand here and talk to you for 10 minutes. I'm just going to let that bubble away for a couple of minutes, and then we will carry on. If you're making it yourself, then you'll want to wait for your veggies to be cooked before you go too far. So we just have to imagine some time has elapsed. But just while I'm just giving that a chance to do something in there, I just thought I would mention that my online course, which I've got a group going at the minute, and they're really enjoying it. We're having some fantastic chats on our live Q&As every week. The next one of those is starting on the 15th of June, and the details are up on my website. And it's just a really good opportunity if you're interested in learning more about whole food plant-based eating, whether or not it's for yourself or for somebody else, or just because you're interested. It gives you lots of fantastic information that you can apply. You also get cooking and Q&A and recipes as well. But the other thing that I'm going to be putting together is I'm going to create a cooking course. I'm not quite sure what format, whether or not it's going to be as a workshops or as a course. I'm still letting that come to something at the minute. But if that's something that you think you'd be really interested in doing, then do let me know. Send me a message. And the sort of things that you'd like to know as well, because I know some people are do this because they're changing for health reasons, and it can be a bit of a struggle at first. Or you've got people who are their youngsters are changing and they want to make sure that they're eating really well. So it's a good opportunity just to expand your knowledge and your the techniques and things like that, but also to get ideas what to cook. So that's that basically. Okay, right. Let's go back here. Now you'll just have to fast forward 10 minutes. Pretend this is all been cooking for a while. Let's move you around. You don't need to see my back. There we go. So I'm just going to add in those lovely broccoli stems, and hopefully you can see. Let's get you right in there. Where are you? Woo. Excellent camera work there. But that's going really quite deep and red rich. So that's all those lovely spices doing their job. So we're going to pop in that's the broccoli heads, and we're going to pop in some peas. Peas are fantastic. Peas and curry are just the best. We as a family love peas in our curry, and they're such a convenient vegetable to have because obviously you can keep them in the freezer, and once harvested, peas deteriorate very quickly nutritionally wise, so frozen peas are often the best ones to have because they've been preserved very, very quickly. They're also a surprisingly good source of plant protein as well. So imagine that that's all soft and that's been cooking. And like I say, if you're actually cooking along at home, then you will want to leave yours a little bit longer. Now this is the point that you would add in your coconut milk if you are going to be using coconut milk. I've just made a very simple cashew cream here, which was half a cup of cashew nuts soaked in hot water for 10 minutes, then drained, and then I've covered it with water and blended it into a cream. So that is going to go in, and we're going to stir that in. And of course that then immediately changes the texture of the curry into something lovely and creamy. And because, like I say, this is nice with coconut milk because it's the Malabar curry is very coconutty. I'm just going to add in a tiny bit of coconut essence. If you're using coconut milk, obviously you don't need to, but these are the alternatives that we can use when eating a slightly different diet, as you do with the Overcoming MS program, but also other programs as well. I've noticed that there's a rheumatoid arthritis program now, which is following very similar guidelines to the MS one, as is Parkinson's disease as well. So I think everybody's beginning to realise just the benefits of eating lovely whole plant foods and having whole fats and nutrients. There we go. Yum, yum, yum. So the kitchen now is flooded with beautiful aromas. And I'm just going to put the heat down now. So I'm going to leave this to simmer now for about 10 minutes. Like I say, really, if you're doing it at home, then the coconut milk or the cashew cream needs to go in once the vegetables are cooked. Because what happens with the creams and the coconut milk is it will start to thicken and stick on the bottom of the pan like it is at the minute. So I'm going to have to keep a very close eye on that. Whereas if you add it in right at the end, then obviously you don't have that problem. And I'm just going to pop that heat right down and leave that to simmer. So there we go. So we're going to have this for dinner tonight. If you make it now and eat it later, then the flavours are going to develop as the day goes on. I'm going to make some flatbread to go with that as well. It's just delicious. Or you can have it with rice, or whatever you want to have it with. So when you're serving, just make sure it's nice and warm, and then you can, if you don't have a problem with fresh coriander, sprinkle some fresh coriander on the top. I know some of you do. I think it's something like 12% of the population can't eat fresh coriander because it tastes like soap, which is very unfortunate for them, because I think it's delicious. But yeah, so just scatter some fresh coriander on the top, and there you are, a really tasty Malabar curry. I hope you enjoyed that, and if you've got any questions, then just send me a message. And if you make it, then please send me some pics and tell me how you got on. And that's it for today. So, yep, just a bit longer than normal. I will pop all this up on the blog with the full recipe over the weekend, as usual. And also, I will upload the video onto my YouTube channel, or you'll be able to find it here on the Facebook page as well. Next week, I'll be back at 11 o'clock as usual. Haven't quite decided what I'm going to make yet. I keep thinking I should be more organised, but a lot of it really does depend upon what ingredients we've got in the house. If there is something that you'd really like to know that you want to make, then do send me a message and I will see what I can do. Otherwise, wishing you a fabulous week, enjoy, and see you soon. Bye.